Greetings and salutations. It is I, Mr. Nothing, the museum curator of the weird and the strange and the host who might be a ghost. Welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I have found in my travels. Today, I don't want to talk about a specific book that I read. Rather, I am looking to the future, 2021. What is going to happen in that year? I'm hoping for some pretty quality things in my professional life, in my social life, in every way possible. Getting around this muckety muck of the pandemic and trying to make things, positive and going for great stuff. And that includes with the books that I read. I'm going to set a reading goal for the first time ever in my life. I'm going to list a number of books that I'm hoping to get through, or some specific ideas of books. And we'll see where we're at. I'll probably make a mid-year video to look at where what's what, and we'll see where we're at, by the end of 2021 as well. So here's hoping for good things. Without further ado, I'm just gonna list off some of the things I'm hoping to read. If you have any suggestions for me, feel free to comment below. If I list a specific author and you have an idea for a book that I should read by them, I would love to hear from it as well. Sound off in the comments. So in 2021, I am hoping to read some more nonfiction. Maybe I'll talk about on this channel. Maybe I won't. But one of the books that that's captured my eye recently is The End of Everything, Astrophysically Speaking, by Katie Mack. She is an astrophysics person, and she's also a Twitter person. Her Twitter account is mainly, talking about her research and making science more accessible to those of us who don't have PhDs. And so, her book has caught my eye, and I'm very interested in reading it because I like the universe, learning more about that, and also reading about the end of the universe, which is, a scary idea, but luckily it's not happening for billions of years. But the process of what happens when the universe ends is fascinating in my mind. The idea of the birth of the universe and the death of the universe are both pretty cool. And I've heard that her book is, largely accessible to those outside of astrophysics, which is always good. I like to hang out on the Wikipedia pages for astrophysics-based stuff, but that stuff is highly specialized too. So I don't necessarily feel very smart reading it. So that's one thing I'm hoping to read. Another thing is more from John Williams. I checked out Stoner by John Williams earlier this year, and I was blown away. And I really want to check out more from what he has to offer. I know it probably won't be of the same level as Stoner. It'll probably have a different vibe going on. But if it has the same kind of prose that John Williams had in Stoner, it should be a brilliant piece of work. So I am looking forward to more from that. And related to that, I liked T.C. Boyle's prose from the Relive Vox, which I don't have on this list, but I talked about the Relive Vox on Tuesday, and I really liked his prose there. So I would also like to check out more from T.C. Boyle in 2021 as well. If you've been keeping up with what's happening on Lucas's channel over at the Bits of Lit, he's talked about In Dubious Battle, and we've been having conversations about it. It's been one of his recommends to me, which is usually meaningful because whenever he recommends something, it's usually high quality, such as the movie House, the Japanese horror movie, or the the Hong Kong movie In the Mood for Love. He's recommended those things to me, and he's recommended a number of books such as East of Eden. So I usually don't go wrong when he makes a recommendation, and so I'm gonna definitely read In Dubious Battle. That'll be one of the first things I read in January, and of course I do want to check out more from Steinbeck because he is one of my favorite authors, and I've never been wronged by Steinbeck. He's always found some way to pique my interest, and much like T.C. Boyle and John Williams, he writes his prose is pretty compelling. It sucks me in for different reasons, which I can't exactly lay out. Like with Steinbeck, his prose is very like beautiful, and it's weaving you in and pulling you in. But with Williams, it was like you're marveling at the beauty of a person he might be describing or something like that, and so it feels very different there. But both of them do their job, so thumbs up to that. I'd also like to check out some work by Maureen Gu. She's someone I also follow on Twitter. She has written a number of romance novels, and I'm not interested necessarily in romance, but she is an Asian American author, and so I would love to be able to check out more Asian American writing, because I haven't really encountered too much Asian American writing in my travels, just simply because the lack of availability of where I can find it, and whether or not it's broadcasted. I guess I'm just not in the right circles, maybe. But yeah, I would love to absolutely check Maureen Gu and more Asian American authors in the process. Possibly Somewhere Only We Know, something like that. It's probably not weird, but I do want to check out some of her work. And then Demon Theory by Stephen Graham Jones. I have talked about his books before. After the People Lights Have Gone Off, an amazing short story collection, which I recommend you go seek out. And The Only Good Indians, which is fine. I was kind of expecting more after the People Lights Have Gone Off, but we can't always be satisfied, I guess. So Demon Theory was one of his earlier books, and I do want to check that out, as well as possibly any more of Stephen Graham Jones. Again, a problem that I've been finding lately is that if I want to read a lot of earlier books, they're often more expensive because they're either out of print or they're very niche from small printers, and so it's often hard to find older books without going to some sketchy places, if you catch my meaning. Another book that I want to check out is The Devil and Daniel Webster by Stephen Vincent. I believe that's a short story, and I've heard a lot of good things, so I do want to explore that on Short Story Tuesday. I want to look at more Philip K. Dick, some of his longer form novels. I keep saying that I'm going to get to his work, but I always put it off. But I know that I'll definitely explore more of his stuff as the 2021 rolls on. Possibly, I'll devote the entire month of February to Philip K. Dick's short stories on Short Story Tuesday. That sounds like a fun idea, and I definitely want to try that now. So and then I also want to check out The Messiah by Gore Vidal. I don't know why that book just. It popped out of me one day. Like, I saw it in the description of like a cult leader whose cult grows beyond their control. Sounds interesting. A recipe for comedy, perhaps. Worth exploring. So I'll probably talk about that in 2021 sometime. I want to read more Shakespeare. I've been meaning to get around to it, but there's been other stuff, and that's the problem. Why read an author from the 1500s when you could look at more current authors or something like that? I didn't have a lot of fun with the first Shakespeare book that I read, which the name escapes me now, but A Comedy of Errors was funny, and I do want to look at more of his comedies. Perhaps some of his his more historical works, like about the kings and stuff, but that remains to be seen there. I do want to read the Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. That's from a Black author, I believe. And along with that is I do want to read more from diverse authors. In the past, I haven't been very well read with diverse authors. Recently, I read Kindred by Octavia E. Butler, which I loved, and I really do want to explore more from diverse authors, fiction-wise, not so much nonfiction-wise. Not because I don't care about that stuff, but just because I'm more interested in fiction. So. I hope I can find more diverse authors, because I know a lot of the writing that I read is from white authors, and I don't want to simply just catalog white authors, and I guess that's my own personal dilemma that I'm dealing with right now. But it's one that I'm definitely trying to fix. Another book that I want to read is actually is from a native indigenous author. It's a recommendation from one of my indigenous friends. It's called There by Tommy Orange. I asked him if there were any indigenous authors they recommended, and that was one of the books they did. So I'll probably take some time to explore that, see more about what's what. I'll also read Beowulf at some point. Beowulf is kind of like a grand goal of mine, because I read it when I was younger, but the beginning parts of it, but I've never made it completely through it. And I do want to kind of explore that, because it's a big deal, apparently, in fiction, and it's very action and very weird, because you got Grendel and Grendel's mother and the heroic actions of Beowulf. So I feel that's worth exploring. I would also like to get to Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. I know there's a lot of debate on the internet about David Foster Wallace and whether any of his books are actually good, but I'd like to explore that a little bit myself. I've heard a lot of good things and a lot of mad things about Infinite Jest. A lot of how it might be relevant towards today's world. I'm not really sure. I've never read it before, so I'm hoping to explore it sometime in 2021. See what all the hubbub is about. Maybe the fact that there's been so much controversy about the book will kind of skew my opinion of it, but you could say that about any book, that people talking about books in general skews your opinion of it. So we'll never, I guess I can't totally go into it blind or something like that, unaware of what it's about. So look forward to that in 2021. And then The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman, as well as more stuff by Neil Gaiman. I have had a blast reading Neil Gaiman's Sandman series. I'm currently on volume 5 as I'm making this video, and it's real fun. Like, it's a comic book that I've never really encountered before, like the kind that is the Sandman. It just, when you think it's going one direction, it goes somewhere completely different, and it fits narrative wise. I do want to visit more by Gaiman, specifically The Graveyard Book, which has some art from one of my favorite comic artists at the moment, and maybe also visit Coraline. That's up in the air, but I'm hoping to visit more of Neil Gaiman's work, because he's smart, and his work is hard to digest at times, but it's worth reading. One of the better comic book writers, better writers of our generation. That's probably a controversial statement somewhere, but I feel that's some degree is true. Another comic that I want to read is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, in addition to a variety of Batman and Spider-Man and possibly Superman comics. But I know that I really like the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World movie, and it was originally a comic book series. And I know that my local library has copies of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So what better opportunity than now to explore those comics. Looking forward to that. And I also want to get to The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I read Lord of the Rings in 2020, and so now I want to visit more of Middle Earth in check out The Hobbit. Maybe eventually get to the Silmarillion, although that's, probably far into the future. Might never check it out. But I do want to read about Bilbo's quest through Middle-earth and get a feel for something like that. I also want to check out Perdido Street Station by China Mayville, if I'm pronouncing that right. It's a book that Noah from Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse has recommended, and he has a pretty good taste in books. He's the one who told me that House of Leaves was an excellent book, and he's also made some other pretty good recommendations. He also said that Stoner was going to be a good book, so I haven't gone wrong with Noah's recommendations yet. So I'm sure China Street Station or Perdido Street Station will be an excellent read. And if it's not, I'll tear it apart, which will probably disappoint Noah, which is not what I enjoy doing. But someone's got to have differing views on books sometimes. So the next book or series that I want to explore, maybe I won't get to this in 2021, but it's a goal, is the Dune series. I've heard a lot of good things about the Dune series. I've never really gotten to it myself, just because I don't know. It seems like a lot of high-minded ideas that I just don't have time for. And it's like, oh no, what if I get sucked into this series? It'll be just another series that takes control of my life for years upon years. Probably overstating that, but I do want to explore the series. Maybe that'll be one of my big read-along videos that I do, much like how I did the Lord of the Rings read-along. So we'll see if I can get to Dune on that. I would like to see what everyone thinks of that, and how I perceive it to be as well. I finally want to get around to reading The Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin. I've heard that she's a really good author, and I've read one of her short stories that I'll be talking about on Tuesday, and I thought it was pretty good. So I want to see what all the hype is about. I believe it'll probably live up to the hype, so no problems there. But I'm interested in seeing other takes on the magical world beyond Harry Potter. I do want to revisit Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne, as well as see some of his other exploration books that he's written. I just want to see if Around the World in 80 Days is as good as I remember. I'm really hoping to revisit that and examine it a little more critically than I might have in the past. And the last thing that I have written here is Tolstoy ? Tolstoy is one of those big lofty readers, big lofty writers that I've heard about for so long, that people have warned me against reading. I thought about reading him in high school for the classics class that I took, where we had to read a bunch of books, and I had the opportunity to read classics, and so I thought about reading Tolstoy, but his book was so large that I decided against it, and it probably would have taken me all semester to get through it, so that was probably a good idea on my part. So I would like to get to what Lucas has read on his channel. I think that's Crime and Punishment, although I might be wrong about that. But I want to check out Tolstoy. The boys over at the Codex Cantina have been talking about Tolstoy for a while, so I figure it's about time. I'm 28 at this point, and I should really be checking out more of Tolstoy. If you have any specific place to start for Tolstoy, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you there. And so that was my list of books that I want to read. It's a very large list, and I don't think I'll probably get to all of them. Although I would laugh if the midpoint of the year, I just got through all of them, and I didn't have anything else to read. Although I'm going to check out some books from the library in between reading all these, so I'll have plenty to sort of sift through as as the year progresses. And again, if you have anything to suggest or you want to comment on something that I said I wanted to read, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you and have a discussion on this. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so other people can find out about this channel and they can read along with me if they're interested in something that I plan to talk about. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and 2021 travels. Farewell.